ready for the 16th Knowledge Seekers Workshop with some members of the Spaceship Institute and Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And we're about to begin here, and we're going to go right through to the Spaceship Institute and see what the latest news is from there. And I expect we'll hear something in the conversation about the last event at Tuscany that happened last weekend, and possibly information about the upcoming meeting of the world leaders, if they indeed show up for this invitation, coming up on June 30th. That's Monday coming up. So, and I'm sure there's lots of other things that we'll also hear about in this workshop. So, we'll hand it over to the folks at the Spaceship Institute and see what's happening.
So, good morning, guys. It's me, Elia. I want to say hi to everyone and a lot of regards from us, and thank you for your support and for event in Vatican. Also, I want to thank in all Bulgarian nations for all the support and the same event in Sofia. We are so proud with you guys, and really the work was really hard, and we went there to ask for peace, for humanity, and for happiness for all the planet, and just our civilization to follow the evolution in the normal human way. And how to say, for me was really emotional day. And Mr. Keshe went in the queue to give the letter to the Pope. We waiting outside, and we was so emotional and give a lot of gifts to other people around in the square of the St. Peter. And immediately it started so interesting thing when we went in the Piazza South Peter. The weather was really nice and so sunny. And when the Mr. Keshe went in the queue, started storm, but a huge amount of rain just falling down to the earth, and all people from the Piazza St. Peter just went it and joined us. So we start to be a huge amount of people waiting Pope to take the letter from Mr. Keshe. Is something like a universe give us a huge gift, and we made it, how to say, the mindset, and we spread the peace in our intention to unite all the people around the world. And what to say, I don't know, it's really what the emotional state for me. And then Mr. Keshe, when he went out, he was so happy because everything was okay. So we graduated, and we hope the beginning of this day, and after that, just our civilization to be safe, and everything goes in really nice and really sunny way of living. So is that for me? If someone wants to ask me something, I cannot hear.
Thank you, Leah.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have some questions?
Is there any questions for
No,
Elia?
let me ask you something. Yes, Elia, did the other people like ask what was happening there? Those who joined you because they had to run away from the rain? Were they like surprised or wanted to know what was going on?
They asked us because we prepared in Bulgaria some kind of gift. It's called the symbol of change. So we start to rub in each hand the symbol of change, and they start to ask, what were you doing and why you are here? So all of us and knowledge seekers, we start to explain to the people what exactly we do and why we are here. And we gave to them some kind of small letters where was written what is the peace and what is the meaning of humanity and what is the meaning to be human being. And interesting was some of them, they refused to take it because they were scared what exactly is it. But others just they take it and say thank you and start to ask us what is the Keshe Foundation, what is going on, why we do that and this and that. Was really interesting. And we went in the event, several of us, but in the end we was like all the people on the Piazza St. Peter. It was really interesting. Can you imagine what is really happening there? It was so emotional
Yeah.
and so powerful state.
How many people would you say were there in total? In general, like roughly.
Sorry, I cannot understand what you asked me.
How many people would you say were there in total? Like, the whole group. I mean, those people who came around you guys. How many?
Oh,
How many were there roughly?
it's a huge amount of people. If you see the live stream now, Rick showed the pictures. So was before the storm started. It's just when the Mr. Keshe went in the queue, and when the storm started, everyone from the piazza just come in under the roof. It's more than 2,000, 3,000 people. It's just a huge amount of people because the place is really big,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. Okay. And any news from Vatican for organization yet? I guess this will be
There are
from Mr. Keshe.
people like a tourist and a lot of people of different parts of the earth and speak different languages, and everyone asks in some kind of languages. And we are so lucky because most of us, we know several languages, so we start to explain to them in the mother language or in the English or Spain or French or in Italian. And they was really impressed to hear what is really going and why we just standing and waiting the Pope, you know? It's no one guess someone is able to waiting the Pope and asking for peace. For them was really strange. And we said, you are able also to asking for a peace. You are human, so the Pope is working for you, is not just working for someone else. So the really people was impressed to see how some human being like them just staying and asking for them peace, you know, and for a life for a planet Earth, you know. It was really interesting.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Even people don't get idea this all the leaders of of the planet, they work for them, they work for the people. They are not just a leader for someone else, you know. They accept them like something which is
Well,
separated for them, but this is not the truth. They work for us and they have to serve to us. It's not that we have to serve to them. Do you understand that? So we start
well,
to explain it to them that things, so they are serving to us, and we are able to ask for our peace and what we want like a human being on the planet. Understand? And that idea was really revolutionary for them. They just stopped and start to hear us and asking a lot of questions.
I think you're
Understand?
right
It's
about that.
really
I think you're right about that.
sorry.
Many of us in religious have been conditioned to think like we are the
Yeah, because
servants
you know
and they are the kings.
you have
But actually, they
when
are
you have
they are the
amount
one
of
who are
people.
servants.
So my
Go on.
understanding is like that. When we are several people and we have one thoughts in our mind, so we make a new, how to say, entity. Do you understand? Common entity, which is the how is in English, the summarity of all of our brains and of all our thoughts. And finally, this new entity starts to attract other people. Do you understand? And mutually, slowly, they just comes to us. We don't go to them to ask them. No, they just come to us and asking us. Do you understand? We just attract them. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Our intention and our feelings just attract others to come to us and asking us what were we doing, why we're standing, what is going on. Do you understand? It was
Yeah,
really interesting to following this kind of singularity and interaction between the souls of people.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was really amazing, and every one of us, every one of us is around the table, so are able to explain it to you what is the feeling. And every one of us, we share the same things, you know. We're just starting to speak, and finally we get it. We have one idea, and everyone get this feeling. So we are like how is it in English? Nucleo, and we attract, how Mr. K said, electrons to us, you know, and they just join us.
Yeah,
And finally, we
yep.
became a huge amount of people there. What's really amazing.
I think that the idea that our leaders should be the one who are saving us is something that has been lost in most of humans. We have
Yeah,
ended up like we are the one who we've ended up thinking like we are the one who are saving them, but in reality, they are the one who have to save. And actually, each one of us has to do that. And if each one of us is doing that, we end up having an environment where it's equilibrium, where it's balanced. Yeah. So
yeah,
people go to these places of worshiping, and they think they are coming there. Well, they come there
mm-hmm.
to pray or to see the Pope, but they also don't realize, like what you said, like they can ask for something, for changes as well.
Yeah,
And at the
yeah,
same
that
time,
was
changes also
interesting.
have to start with the people themselves, because uh, change starts from everywhere. It has to start from the top and from the bottom as well. So it has to be collective, change as well.
Well, I think a lot of people play the I'm only one person kind of game,
Yeah.
and they don't understand that everybody is one person, and one person plus everybody else adds up to everybody.
Mm, that's
Yeah,
true.
we're just clusters of one line, you know. We are just clusters of one thing. We are just one, and everyone have to understand that. And that's why we start to explain to the people just to make up their mind, you know. We are They're just stuck in the matrix, and they just stop to thinking that they are important. Do you understand? They think only leaders are important. No, we are important, and leaders have to serve to us, you know. It's this other understanding, another point of view what the people either never get idea about. That was interesting to see on this place, because there are people from around the world, and all of them, they are thinking like they are not important, and they just visit the Vatican and the queue like something interesting, and to give regards to the God and this and that. No, God is inside of us, so we are a God. All of us are a Messiah and messenger of the knowledge, so we are important, each of us, because we are one. Do you understand? How we have to spread the knowledge, and finally 7 billion people on the earth start to work like one. That was the purpose to visit. My purpose, I speak from myself, to visit Vatican and to support Mr. Keshe, just because the humanity, all of us, we are just one. Doesn't matter where we're living and what we're doing. So I pass all the road from my country to the Vatican. I drive it 28 hours without stop, just because I want the humanity to understand we are one, and our planet is our planet. It's not belong to the leaders. And it is our mother and our home, you know. It's important.
Thank you, Elia.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Elia.
welcome, guys. I love you so much. Give you all my hearts to you and the microphone to some other of the knowledge seekers. Thank you, guys. And thank you for support
Okay, get
because
some sleep.
I was able to feeling you with my heart when I went in Vatican. I just knew all of you, you are with us. And thank you a lot from bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Elia.
Thank you very much, Elia. Thanks a lot to Elia for that transmission, you might say. And
Inspirational message.
yeah, that's a good way to put it, Vince.
Warm opening up of the 16th Knowledge Seeker workshop.
Hello from my side.
Hello.
Hello,
I
hello.
hope you're doing well.
Do-
Yeah. Yes, the last week we were on the road. We were traveling around, and we were in south of Italy, again in Grassetto. Well, it's central Italy in Tuscany. There was a conference there. The organizers were Sarah's society or association, and they did a really good job. They put a lot of effort to this event, and I'd like to thank them, especially to the people which were working in the background, and they give all the support that this event came through. It was also on live stream, so you can watch these lectures from different people also on YouTube. Mr. Cash was one of the speakers. Then there was Venus Project and Association Giuliani. Yeah, Association Saras. They were organizers, and they were also one of the speakers, or two of them. They were. They give some lectures, and well, they are trying to do the best for our society, and I think they are doing a good job. Yeah, they try to unite different projects, and that's why Venus Project, Keshe Foundation, and Giuliani Association were together at that conference. There was another organization. I don't know the name now, but obviously that organization was founded by government, and at the last day they didn't appear. Actually, it was only one guy there, and at the last day they even didn't appear at the round table. So the intention from them obviously was not right. So I would like to invite you to go to YouTube and listen to the lecture, especially to the lecture of Mr. Keshe. It's a very important lecture, and we can learn a lot out of it. So mostly we were
Where can we get the link for the
away.
YouTube?
Sorry?
Do you have the link for the YouTube already?
We have a link. It's also on. We will try to post also on live stream. Yeah, there are many lectures.
Thank you.
So we were mainly away last week, and on Tuesday we came back to the institute, and everything in the lab is still working. Reactors are still stable, so we didn't have any failure or something. And well, we start our regular work here in the lab, and yesterday, day before, we were arranging another star formation system. So at the moment we have two star formation sitting next to each other, and we will try to learn out of this configuration the interaction of the different plasmas, and that's what we are doing at the moment. I will pass the microphone to.
I'm back there. I have posted a link now for what happened in Tuscany. There are the different recordings. I won't say they are perfect, but what was important was to be able to listen to what was said. So there are some in Italian, and there's the recording from the talk of Keshe. There are other pictures. Rick put a link to the other pictures. Marco started to talk about what we have in the in our lab for the moment. There is different. There are different things. If you look at the pictures 7833 and 7834 that you should see on the link, those are pictures especially for Armen, because there's a whole bunch of magnets that Keshe showed us. That's on the link. Where are you? This folder. Yes, the link is. You should be able to see the link. Eventually. Oh God! I have a problem. Rick, could you post the link again, so everyone sees what link I talk about? I have a problem.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get that set up, John. It just takes me a few minutes to send it over to my other computer here through the
Sorry. Then
slow
I'll try
network.
to get it again, but I have a problem with my computer here, and it's stacky. Okay,
So
I think I'll be
just a
able to
second
post
here.
it again.
Let me do it.
Okay, so I have a problem. Okay, this is the link. Rick, I managed to
It's
to
a
put the
different link. A different link?
No, it's the link you sent just earlier. That's the link
Okay.
of things from the lab, and the two first pictures. These are the.
Wait a minute. The last link you sent is different than the previous one, right? Is that what you're saying? So I should get the last link and not the previous one to put up?
Well, it's done. You don't need to. To post it again. I've just posted back.
Post it where?
Yeah, normally on Skype.
Yes, no one sees it in Skype. That's the problem. I have to post it to live stream so people can click on it. So that's what I need to. I'm transferring it over to live stream, but it's on my other computer to do it, and it just takes a minute for me to do it here. So hang on just a second while I try to do that. It's just not an easy deal here.
You've got. Yeah.
This is the previous link that you shared, Rick.
So, if you look at the pictures,
the previous link. Wait a minute. You talk about the first link. The second is what link. I should be opening. The second link. Okay.
No, Rick. Remember the pictures that you requested that he shared the link to you at the beginning of this conversation. Those pictures is what he's talking about. 7834, and what was the other one, John? 7832.
33 is 34.
All right, I think that's what we have here.
33. Okay.
So those are collections of magnets we have been shown by Mr. Keshe because Armin was asking questions. He's asking a lot of questions about magnets. And these are collection of magnets that he's been using, and well, some of them. And no, it's on the Skype. There is a link, and you go just on that link, and you'll see all those.
Nobody sees it on the Skype, though, John, is the problem, other than 3 people. So I have to change it to live stream or to go to meeting in order for people to read it. So that's what I'm trying to do here now.
And I'm showing 7833.
That should show up now. Yeah, we should be able to click on this, but not with the live stream. With this.
But if you have the pictures,
there we go.
The link to the pictures, you can put it on live stream, live video.
That's what I'm trying to do. I think Elia just already did it and beat me to it here.
Yes.
So long. Same one? No, it's different. So which one?
It has one more. It has one more picture than the other one.
Okay.
Well, in fact, there is a picture that is for Tesconi, which is a 7880. That was all of us with a few others in the Congress Center. But anyway, you see the last picture that. I don't know if you already have those pictures.
I'm just making sure they're the same. They look like the same, I think, that what Elliot posted when I have. Oops.
All the magnets.
Okay, so we have the link up there in live stream now. So sorry it takes so long. It was just difficult to transfer over. I had the wrong link there. So now, what are you directing us to look at there, John?
Okay, this the last picture, which is Armin still working with the magnets.
That'll be it's an MP4 a video.
It's a video, and there's a 7985 picture and 7986 picture. That's the
Armin
new
is
reactor
preparing
formation.
Armin with the hacksaw, we see here. Okay, so we're seeing Armin working with a magnetic structure there. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I didn't play the audio for that, so we didn't hear what was going on. Hey Armin, how you doing? Good. So
John
we just
started John started something but it's a really very simple thing that to show how the magnetic fields work. This is only that video, and I just want to talk about one thing, guys, that we went to Rome, and that was a big step to do for all of us. Whatever you see, this is technology that's secondary because, you know, because when inside of all the humans we cannot overcome killing or we cannot overcome violence, you know, even with this technology we cannot correct ourselves. What we did, the big step to going and handing very simple thing that every human should understand, that they have to stop it one day. And that day, I think it's, you know, it's past already. Yes, with this little magnet you can show how the fields are moving because it's a very simple thing. It's a magnetic field. It is plasmatic or matter, but matter is different and plasmatic is different. Only thing, you know, I try to do in that whatever picture John posted to show how the fields work to the public. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Ivan.
Hi, Ivan. Sorry, I missed Armin there, and I could hear the emotion in his voice, and I just wanted to let him know that I think we all felt it there too. We all, at least I understood what was happening in that kind of circumstance. And it is a really emotional thing to have happen, and to be doing it is probably on a different level than what I can understand. So I just want to let him know that at least I am definitely rooting for him and for everybody there, that it continues, because I'm doing the same here.
I'll pass Armin again. Just a second.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Amon.
Yeah, thanks, Armin.
Okay, Ivan again. There were a couple of things that came to my mind when Elia was speaking. She was mentioning the rain, but actually it was a huge thunderstorm. So as soon as Mr. Keshe went into the building to deliver the paper, the thunderstorm started, and by the time he came out, the thunderstorm was finished. And this reminded me of when you look on the internet, on YouTube, you can see from, I think, 2 years ago that it shows lightning strikes the St. Peter's Cathedral, and I think it was on the day the previous Pope resigned, between brackets. So there was something happening there. Definitely there was something happening while we were there. Now then, a couple of days later, as you know, we went to Tuscany. The place is called the Grosseto, and the association that organizes it is, they call it Sara S. I tried to find out, but I still don't know what this Sara S actually stands for. Anyway, it's what was not mentioned is their website. It's Associazione Sara. Yeah. Okay, Marco just said he posted it, so that's .it. And there you can see the conference Un altro mondo possibile, another world is possible. That was very interesting. Well, obviously, since all the links of the lectures are posted, you can see it for yourself.
Hey, Yvonne, I was going to ask
there
about the lecture. The first day, yes, I seen the lecture on YouTube and just caught the end of it live, and of course that was the end of that. But I hadn't seen any of the other stuff that I've seen pictures of with Mr. Keshe talking with the other people on the 22nd. Do you know if any of that got shared, or is that going to be for them and they have to release that?
When I looked on their website yesterday, I could not yet find any of the lectures. I found the lecture, their lecture, and the Venus Project lecture, but I could not immediately find Mr. Keshe's lecture or the roundtable conversation. But okay, they are compiling it as a video, Mr. Keshe says, and they will release it later. But
was there a health workshop like what we were talking about in the 15th workshop? Knowledge seekers.
You will have to repeat that question because there was some disturbance here. Can you repeat that?
Sure. Yeah, Mr. Keshe on the 15th Knowledge Seekers Workshop said that there would possibly be a health portion to that lecture. Did that ever take place?
Just a couple of questions. The concept.
Yeah. So that was Mr. Keshe will explain that in a second.
Okay, no
and
problem.
then after that, coming back in the lab, as Marco mentioned, we set up a second star formation. Now, the one that was already running, as you know, was with all the full sphere reactors, and now we set up 4 half sphere reactors. I think it was Armin who came up with the idea to say that the half sphere reactors are the female side. They look like ladies in dresses who are dancing, and the other side, which was already there, is the male side. Anyway, so now we are on the point of investigating, trying to find out exactly what the interactions are. One interesting thing was that we were measuring using a mobile phone the fields around a couple of reactors. First of all, it was my reactor, and it showed that on one side the field was 350, on the other side, like 180 degrees opposite, the field is about 250, so that's about 30% less. And this...
And which one was facing the other star formation, Ivan?
It was the weakest side was on the side facing the other star formation. And so Mr. Keshe said that what you measure is less because there it's contained, it's not releasing. So on the outside, it's releasing more, so you measure a higher field. And actually, probably also the other formation is pulling the plasma inside the reactor to one side, so that it's actually not centralized, perfectly centralized in the reactor, that it's like glued to one side of the nano coating, more decentralized in the reactor, more to the side of the other star formation.
I do have a question. With the new star formation, did you take plasma out of the first star formation to put in that one, or did you create it the same, or is it a different combination? Is it a higher or lower strength than the initial star formation?
What happened at some point a couple of weeks ago, we took my reactor out of the other star formation because it was getting stronger and stronger. We pulled it to the side, disconnected it, opened it to the atmospheric pressure, vacuumed it again, did all kinds of things with it, but all this did not change the strength of the field, which stayed around 400 microtesla. And
that was nano-coated inside, right? You have that one nano-coated inside.
Apparently. Now it's been sitting there for, a month, about. I mean, not connected, not being fed any gases, slowly losing the vacuum, but that it apparently hardly changed the fields. So that's why Mr. Keshe decided we put it in the center of the new formation, because it has a very strong plasma, and apparently it doesn't make, once the plasma is there, even if you remove the vacuum, it doesn't make a difference. That's kind of what Mr. Keshe was explaining. Even if you crush the shell of the reactor, the plasma can still stay where it is, and eventually form its own shell. He was explaining, like the sun, the outside of the sun, what we see of the sun is not the container of the plasma, it's actually the plasma that forms the outer shell. And maybe the same can be said for the Earth.
So it's already a twinity in itself from removing it from the first star formation. So did the polarity change, or is it just move the plasma around inside of the reactor?
From what we could assess, the polarity of my reactor did change, because previously we measured the highest field around the top of the reactor and less at the bottom, and now it's less it's the opposite. It's more at the bottom and less at the top. I don't know exactly what the reason for that could be why it has happened before.
Well,
That the
if
field.
you're in, sorry, but if you're in a star formation and you take that plasma out of that star formation, then it no longer sees the individuals. It only sees the entirety. So when you take it out of the star formation, it can become any polarity. That's the way I see it, anyways.
Mm-hmm. So as far as we could assess, the other 3 reactors around it did not have plasma. So what we did is we fed last night. We vacuumed everything and fed the half-core metal reactor because that one does not have nano coating. It will be the slowest to form a plasma. So we wanted to give that one a head-on a little bit more time. So we did that last night, and then today we'll probably do the rest. I guess that's it for now, and then I'll pass the microphone to Mr. Keshe.
Okay, thanks, Yvonne.
Bye.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Good morning.
Thanks, Ivan.
And we are back in the knowledge seekers nest in the Susano. Last time my talk from Rome was from inside the car because we had no reception in the hotel. So all the what do you call it, knowledge seeker session was done sitting in a car, but they still managed to get to, and other knowledge seekers managed to convey most of the message. There is a couple of points we have to explain. As I said, the reason for going to Vatican was not to do anything which could damage the integrity of the position of the Pope, but it was to unite the religions in one way. We have delivered the papers for the meeting of the 30th. We received some information in past 2 days that because of the shortness of the time, there's been asked for a delay of the meeting if it's possible that decisions could be made. So at the moment the agreement is changed to Monday the 14th of July. We are resending again the invitations with a new date to different world religious leaders, because they thought it's a short notice. In 2 weeks' time, now we see the new invitation goes out. Hopefully today. It's been all done in Tehran. I received it late last night, and we reposted it back, and it'll be sent out. All the invitations is very simple. We meet in the cloth of man, so there is no hierarchy in who is higher or who whatever they could be. The whole procedure, as I explained, was very straightforward. Delivering of documents. I have made several calls yesterday to Vatican. We have a direct line in, and there is no response at this moment. So we'll see if whatever happens, we put you in the picture. So the meeting of the 30th on Monday is changed to 14th, that other world religious leaders could make a decision on. We have invited 6 world religious leaders to this meeting, or their representative. The rest will be on a next scale up if they want to go to. And as I said, if the steps are not taken by the world religious leaders, this will not stop to bypass the whole structure of the religions as multiple to a single, but not creating a new religion, but letting people understand through people, the same way as we did with the World Peace Treaty. We gave a chance to the world leaders politically, and we gave them a 1.5 years. This time we opened the channel for the world religious leaders, and the time span, it will not be that long. So either way, the humanity will win in the right and correct way. The point which is important for us at this moment, I think is very significant. is having Elia here. Even though she's a part-time supporter, she's become the mother of the foundation in so many ways. You know, when the children have a problem, they go and complain to the mama, not to papa, because mama finds a solution. She's become the mama finding solution for a lot of people in different ways. I thank her for everything she's done for the foundation and she's doing. And we are making every effort that she becomes a full-time member of the knowledge seekers. She carries a huge knowledge about the humanity and the physicality. And this is an asset we cannot ignore. On the other hand, there is a big position which is happening with the foundation in respect to where and how we're going to carry on with our medical side, because Elia is here. We can discuss this openly. As you know, as of yesterday, we have set up instruction and the procedure has started for setting up of the health center in Malta. We have received authorization. We are allowed by the Maltese authorities to open the Keshe Foundation's alternative health program in Malta, and the procedure has started. The office has been found, and within the next couple of weeks, Malta Health Center will be open internationally for the whole European operation. The whole process is that the Keshe Foundation process for the health has been accepted by one of the major insurance companies in Europe as an alternative by looking at the processes medically of our procedures. So from next month or so, you can buy insurance policies on the cover of the Keshe Foundation health program. The policy is getting written. I received an email late yesterday that the lawyers of the insurance company are doing the legal alteration, whatever is needed to be part of the insurance policy. And by European law, when one insurance company accepts medical and issues policies for the certain procedures, others will follow. So we expect a quite rapid change in this manner by the health authorities and health care through insurance that is proven the technology to be correct, and it's been studied by the medical people that they recommended, and it's gone to the board meeting of the insurance company, as I've been told, and it was accepted last week that it is an alternative and is shown is positive way of doing things. So any health aspects of the foundation is legally undercover from now on. In by European law, once it's accepted in one country, it just can be adjusted, but it becomes automatically acceptable. We will announce the things within the next day or two. Everything goes in the hand of Malta, and they will handle it, but we organize it. If we're opening a center, health center in there, how it's done. This is, what do you call it? Birth of a new child. So we've got to learn and all what I call the problems and how we're going to handle it. We have a good experience with this with Ivan in Belgium, in Ninov, where we opened a center. Thanks to Ivan's help for 2 years, supporting us heavily. Both Mary Christine and Ivan are here with us today, and they were both in, what do you call it, in Tuscany with us. The foundation has a lot of respect for this couple. We do not forget people, but we set out the way to do things, and we keep on doing it. There are a lot of questions which I was aware of, and I totally tried to leave it because time is the best healer. But Elia, in the she's been with us more or less for over a week, and in discussions and talks and whatever we come. She has a lot of, as I said, you go and complain to the mother, and the mother complains to Papa, and Papa has to find a solution and an answer. There is a lot of problem with our Spanish speaking because of movement of Jorge from the knowledge seekers. This movement was done personally by Jorge, and we have a structure which we follow. People come to the foundation expecting things which is not there and will not be there. Knowledge seekers who pay fee to be here, they have to comply with the acceptance conditions. And it's like any other institute of learning. You have to pay your fee. When you cannot pay your fee and the conditions are not there that you cannot support, you cannot blame the foundation. So knowledge seekers are responsible for their fees unless they're accepted directly by the foundation to be funded. So this is one of the reasons Jorge left. So we put this to bed, that there is any conflict in the foundation. There is no conflict as far as we are concerned. Commitments are commitments. You're accepted on a condition. You adhere to your condition. You don't change it in the middle. Those Spanish speakers who had problem to know, I'm saying there is a problem. We don't have a problem. Knowledge seekers who leave after a term, it's just they cannot financially, they have not financially supported their stay unless they are subjected and offered a free place. One of these free places is in the hand to be organized, and it goes directly to Elia for the medical side. In time we'll announce it. This is part of the institute program, which is going as a university. This is the responsibility of the foundation, and we'll try to get it through by the time we open the institute in October. In respect to the university, everything is in the process of happening, and we had meetings with officials, government officials, and leading of political and educational members of the Italian organization, which concerns organizations like us, have been here, and we have had meetings on other occasions, and now they are assessing how we can do and how we can go ahead with the maybe amalgamation of the institute as part of the Italian education or university structure. But this is to be done in coming weeks and months. We have to see what the exploration gets us to, because they consider technology as a breakthrough, and they would like to have the technology within the Italian structure. This is the change what we had. We had to silence, and we had to move from one post to another in Belgium. This has changed in Italy for us, and we have shown our integrity and work in this country. And by being here over a year and a half, and the authorities in different levels are realizing the technology. They have tested technology in different aspects, and as we have handed over a lot of knowledge to companies in Italy, they realize we are serious in our work, because these companies have tested and developed their own ways, and I support the development for them. There is something which is important to understand, that even though the institute, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, is in the same location as the Keshe Foundation as a foundation, the two function totally separately from now on. I tried to bring everything that the knowledge seekers could do, take part of the process of learning how to run, but apparently this is a bit too far, it was too fast. So we separated the two functions, what's got to do with the foundation as an organization, and what's got to do with the research as a Spaceship Institute are totally separate as of last week. We've been advised by advisors this is the best channel to take, because there's a lot of confusion in what's happening where and what. So the Keshe Foundation Institute stays as an institute, as a learning place, and those who can transfer and add to it in the running of the foundation as a organization, we take up. So you'll find some people will be in both places and some people in one place or the other. We have to inform a couple of other things which is important. In the Sarah's meeting last week in Tuscany, I came across one of the genius of the science, of the humanity. This gentleman has spent his time, and he says it's very simple, but he has found a system to detect earthquakes 6 to 24 hours prior to the system, before the attack. He has proven it to be correct on the 2009, but still he's been under the same pressures as we've seen with me and other scientists in our levels. What you said, what happened in the second day, is that this gentleman made a presentation, and his daughter was sitting next to me, because the Keshe Foundation and knowledge seekers, we were given the front row as we were speaking and presenting, and his daughter was sitting next to me, and I said to her that your father is a genius, because he explained as a nuclear researcher how he detected the connection between radon and the earthquakes and the release of radon, and he's developed a technology that can detect the radiation 6 to 24 hours before the earthquake, and this gives the warning enough to save lives. And according to what he did, and he announced, and even they tried to silence him, he saved some 300 and odd lives. People who were listening to him, they moved in the garden the night before the major earthquake here in Italy. And countries like Taiwan have adopted this system. But he's still getting all sorts of problems, persecution and the rest. So in this meeting, he gave an hour lecture. His name, no, it's not Giuliano. His name is, no. John Paul Giuliani is the organizer. No, his name, we release it. His name is in the program. And the, what you call, as he was on the podium afterwards in discussing how his system can work, and what he explained to us, it immediately made scientific sense to me as a nuclear engineer, that he has touched one of the major problems of humanity, that earthquakes every year kills a lot of us and creates tsunami and creates hundreds of thousands of us if it happens in the liquid environment motion. So in understanding his explanation scientifically, I made you will see the connection that we are the foundation with the systems in our possession, as you call it, a star formation. But if you look at it, they look like exactly like the Earth. We think we immediately after his talk, lunchtime, 3 or 4 of us gathered around lunch table with John, Marco, and Ivan. In that, I'm a great believer, and now listening to this gentleman, that we can replicate and facilitate for him to physically show the earthquake conditions and the surge of the radon in the earthquake condition. We make some what do you call it, adjustments in 1 or 2 of the reactors with the inner core. We can create the plates as there's the tectonic plates on the Earth, and show the correctness of his theory, and show exactly where the earthquake can be. It takes a lot of development, but as I said in the talks when we were on the podium in the discussion group, I explained to him that my foundation is his, because at the end he's serving humanity in a very good way, and it saves millions and thousands of lives. The earthquake has killed millions of people over the life of this planet, and this man has found the solution, has proven to be correct. So most probably you will see the first collaboration directly in respect to this work. We are back within next week or 2. We will start establishing link with him in testing and setting up tests, not just for the reactors with us, but for independent confirmation of understanding total earthquake process on this planet. The beauty of the whole thing is that in the next couple of weeks we will have 2 additional reactors which has never been tested. These are what we call GANS reactors. John built them in Belgium, and he brought them with him here. Now it's gone to the manufacturers. What do you call it? They are setting up the 2 systems. And when these 2 small spheres, I think they're about 7 centimeter in diameter. Inside they're about 7 centimeter. We're going to inject these with guns. Armin took the strange devices. No, I don't like to see this because then it distracts. Yeah. Armand made a see-through a sphere a few weeks ago with GANs, so we could see the formation of the GANs. And with it, it explained to me a lot about the movement of the material inside the sphere. And now, meeting with this gentleman, it brought a lot of things home. We can replicate literally liquid condition of the Earth through the gas materials, different gas densities. So we have the sphere of Armand to look at the things beforehand, because we've seen a lot of things with it in formation of separation of the matter and gas. And then we tested with the two reactors which John has brought in. The whole structure will teach us a lot. You talked about these two new systems which we said we had one running before, and now we had the whole structure, 6 or 7 of them together before we separated them. Now we have two formation. One is all a sphere, and one set which is a half a sphere. As you know, the half spheres are to be and been tested to be more stable in respect to polarity change. But we saw the polarity change in the half a sphere when we moved the system which has been put in the center. And I just heard somebody saying that the polarity change is just because now it's independent and it's twins twinity. This is exactly correct. The change for the polarity of the reactor of E1 is more or less, we might see this changes, and this is what we always said. When a system changes polarity, the other one will rotate. And Einstein called this the funny things because he couldn't understand it. But now we have a system to physically show this. The north pole of E1 is interacting with the south pole, and the south pole with the north pole. And the polarity change in half a sphere is the first time in 10 years of research I've seen. So the most probably indication is that the sphere is totally nano-layered with E1. So the magnetic fields of the nano-layers are creating the gravitational magnetic field environment that the plasma inside this reactor is working independently on its own. And this is why it has changed in response to the other reactor. What I was thinking overnight is that we're going to test both reactors, center reactors, continuously for polarity change, to see if one flips, the other one flips with it, or it stays in the same position. But the difference is that one is half and one is full, and a steady position of the half sphere, I think, will dictate the position of polarity. It's a step development, it's a new understanding, and polarity change in half a sphere opens a new door of research for me, because I started working on it yesterday, and I think we're going to see very interesting developments in this respect. John was explaining about the reactors, especially E1 reactor, that we see the release conversion of plasma to matter. The system is totally airtight, but we see gradual reduction in the vacuum of the system, as we already vacuumed it at the highest level we have, and when we leave it and it starts getting back on releasing gases again, I presume these gases we are extracting is of hydrogen origin, which is the plasma is converting. And I can explain how plasma changes conversion to a matter, and this we see on the upper atmosphere of the Earth. Somewhere in the structure in that reactor, there's there's a position created, which I can roughly knowing these reactors like my own child, because I built every single one of them, except the one which John brought in. I can explain scientifically why we're seeing the conversion of the plasma and gravitational magnetic fields into matter. And if this carries on, we got to see if we can totally change all the plasma into matter. I was explaining to Marco yesterday the process. This is the same process and in the reverse of what you're doing with your GaNs material from the copper oxide layers. You create the environment where you convert matter from molecular structure in the atomic nanolayers, and then you create another similar environment which we discussed before into its plasma and into a GaNs. And then if you go into the gas state directly into a plasma, now you are converting, creating the same environment as you do with the salt water in the production of the GaNs by nano layers which you have created. So you, in fact, doing the same process. There is no change. It's just different medium. So this process now, it's going further in its development. So in the long term, then as we do more experiments and we teach more openly about other aspects of technology, then you see similarity between one reactor or the water with the salt in it, which you convert the material from matter to a gas in the plasma state. The most interesting part, yes.
Sorry, I don't know if anybody else heard that, but there was a cutout at the point where you were talking about changing the matter back into, or the plasma, sorry, the GaNs back into a gas. Can you just say that sentence there again, just in case we didn't get it recorded right?
Yes. The thing is that because of the nano layers in the core, we are creating the environment of where the plasma behaves exactly like where your copper oxide does in a salt. In a conversion, you use the nano layer to convert it into a plasma, what we call a GaNs state, copper oxide or CO2 or whatever. In these cores, which like E1, there is a position created where, due to the magnetic field layer of the nanomaterial which we have used to coat this reactor, which is glued on by E1 over inside and outside, what do you call it, on a rotating disk inside it, that it creates the same condition, but in reverse, where now you created a plasma due to using the same material. In putting the reactor in a star formation, double star formation, the plasma inside this core is moving to one side, is getting pulled to one side of the core. So in fact, you're increasing and creating condition on the other side. If the normal gap between the plasma and the, let's say, the wall was 2 centimeters all the way around, now is 1 centimeter or half a centimeter on one side and 2.5 or 3 centimeters on the other side of the sphere, which is looking into the other star formation. So this expansion of the gap between the plasma and the wall allows the conversion of the plasma into matter. I was explaining this to Marco yesterday. This is exactly what happens. The plasma in gravitational magnetic field leaves the sun, and when it gets to the right condition near the Earth, converts into nitrogen and other materials. But if it doesn't come in touch with Earth, it goes all the way through to the other planets, what you call it, planets, and if it's not touched by any of the other planets, it becomes part of the layers of the outer shells of this solar system. So now we have created a position where we convert the plasma due to its expansion and have giving it this extra space of few centimeter that converts the plasma back into a matter condition, and that condition is created in somewhere in that reactor due to maybe a glue or sticking things double, as Yvonne was explaining, on top of each other. So has made that condition of Earth to convert plasma into matter, and we see this as a release of gas in the core. If this assumption is correct,
this only happens in the dynamic reactor?
At this moment, it's the first time we see it in the Ivan's reactor. We have no leakage. These systems were totally sealed. And just 1 second, let me write something. Then I can go
Sorry,
back to
I
this
was
as
just
well.
trying to get at, if you take the nano-coated copper plate, let's just say like the pieces that was coated inside the reactor, and you spread GaNs over it, would you get a layer
No,
of
we
gas
haven't spread
inside?
gas over it. No, we haven't spread. These layers has been glued on. We put gases in over weeks and we converted them into a plasma. The magnetic holding of the nano layer kept the plasma inside. And something which has been a puzzle to a lot of people, how come this core is holding so much and is building up? This reactor is literally taking all the magnetic gravitational fields which is within the layer of the GaNs which was before it was put in. So at the same time as
plasma then.
Pardon?
You're talking just strictly the plasma inside of a
The
dynamic
plasma.
reactor. It's changing to gas from the interaction of the nano layers on the walls and on the center disk.
Yes. What happened? We created the plasma, and this plasma was contained inside the reactor. The plasma, it doesn't sit there; it's dynamic. So even though we don't see the motor running, the plasma itself on its own runs. As I always say, we don't see any motor on Earth rotating it or the sun, but the plasma rotates. We have managed to create that condition inside this reactor. But in that process, we have created the environment since we put it in the new position in the center of the second star formation, that it has created a gap enough or a condition enough for the plasma to convert back to matter. And every time we put the vacuum system on, we see it drop in the vacuum in a very small amounts. It's not huge amounts. So this has come about first of all by changing the polarity to become stable, and secondly in moving the position of the plasma, not centralized, but is moving to one side. There is a lot of things which I try to open up for understanding. There was a lot of misunderstanding here in the lab regarding data. We spoke about it before. We saw surges, and the surges were told this computer error, and this is something you're ignoring, you don't understand. And I had to be patient till we could prove and confirm that it's not a computer error. This is something once and then that's it. There is data mistakes. It's proven that in the past 3 weeks, by being more or less knowing what's happening there and persisting to hold the system, no development till we find why these surges are. And we had the motor running from like 4.4543 milliamps or up to, down to 0.9. And I was told I don't understand, but I understood fully what I was understanding, and I was correct in doing it. That stopping such a fluctuation up of 25% and then up to 75% of the total power. This means do not just ignore if you get a surge. If you see something is one-off, this means danger. When you have fluctuations, when you have surges, just don't ignore it. The people who ignore it end up to pay for it. If you run a reactor and it's got a surge and you don't understand it and the surge is repeated and you try to ignore it as a data or a computer error, then in Fukushima is your consequence of your problem. Worse than Fukushima, because this, as I explained to Armin yesterday, you ignore it. You run a reactor, you say as you're in charge of development and seeing it, you put this reactor in any vehicle, anything which is flying over, because you decided it's a computer error through your own ignorance, and this falls on the city or falls on the child, you're responsible for that soul. So anytime anybody says this is one-off, these one-offs become two-offs, and then we have Fukushima and more disasters and crashes. So anybody who works with these systems, you work with the monitoring with amperage and voltage and you see fluctuations, stop till you solve the problem. Fluctuations, vast fluctuations means problem, and this is what we saw in the core number 3 for about 2 weeks. I put a halt in it. I was told all sorts of things. I'm a dictator, I do things my way, but unfortunately a father has to be forgiving, but he sticks to his path till it's done. Now the reactor is stable, we can carry on with the next setting. So we start seeing new developments. We start seeing in the next phase of development. What this development is, you call it two-star formation. Now you have two atoms which are interacting. Now we can replicate as the number of reactors increase, exact structure of atomic structure. The Keshe Foundation at this moment is the only organization who's got this facility. And as we expand, yesterday I received a huge invitation by a leading government to produce huge amounts of materials for them, because they start looking into it in a very serious way and they think we have found a solution. And I explained to them, we have to merge in a way to be able to support such kind of research. What does this mean? It means now we can, for the first time, very soon, put two reactors next to each other in the center, because we have the numbers. Then you can replicate helium. You got 4 reactors and 2 center points. As the number of reactors increases and most probably more people join us to development, we can literally follow the structure of atom by having the system in our possession. Science enters a new dimension. We don't need to guess what the electron is and what the electron does, and we can now replicate it, change the parameters within these cores, and very soon, I think within the next year or 2, we can even create reactors like the one now. We have similar reactors which John has built. We can build a large number of these at very low cost and feed them and control them and understand, for example, the property of plutonium or uranium, and see how come some of the reactors in the center release energy. This has changed the whole science of physics and creation. Now, Marco spent a lot of time for a week or 2 by going step by step through loading the steel reactor, full spherical steel reactor, in steps by different gases, combination of gases. And now we have, 17 pages of data about behavior of one reactor. So we have a reference point. I think Knowledge Seekers told you that now we moved the 2 detectors we have outside the circle of the star formations. So each detector is looking in the environment of the star formation, not as last week into one reactor core. So it's been set, Marco and I, we turn the sensors in a way that we can see, or at least try to see, the field interaction between one core and another. We twisted the x-axis that it goes across the field of the 2 cores, 2 setups. And then there is one detector which sits, looks at outside of the original on the x-axis of the star formation. So we see what's happening outside, and then we see what's happening in the field across the two. And this opens up totally new opening of knowledge, understanding of the whole process. Strange enough is that both detectors have been showing vertical push, which means that we don't get a fluctuation, but we get the strength variation on the downward, which means the original star formation is literally sitting on the verge of lift. We see the data on the 3 axes, but is not going because all the numbers are reaching the same level. Something which happened before we go for Rome on a Sunday morning. I went to the lab, and core of Marco, which is a steel core, was searched all 4 at 12. Then we tried to understand the reason why we could see 12 in one reactor and 20, 30 centimeter, 50 centimeter. We saw no indication on the, what do you call it, on the second detector, which was sitting on the mother reactor in the center. The only explanation at this moment, which is practical and physical, unless we are proven the other way around, is that that core reached lift, and as the field moved out of the sphere in a homogeneous three-dimensional spheric, the field came directly in touch within centimeter or so with the 3 field detectors which are connected to electric current, and the field collapsed. So for that reason, not to encourage further positioning of collapse of the plasma, we moved the detectors outside the maximum possible sphere of the total system. What this means, Marco and Armin yesterday, they start measuring the distance between each mother reactor and the 120-degree formations. And then the 2 reactors are set exactly more or less on the same line, in the same configuration. And the detectors are set beyond the same sphere of the what do you call it, the total field the systems can produce. The process from now on, we enter real work of opening up the world of physics and knowledge of plasma. For past 2-3 months, as you saw, a lot of glue hands and a lot of us, we call it the Silicon Valley job here. We use as many silicon tubes as we could to stick and glue together. But as I was explaining yesterday to the knowledge seekers, we've seen the benefit of it. We went away for 10 days, no reactors was shut down, fear of damage. We come back, they're still running, they're still performing. And it showed the hard work and persistence in repairing and putting everything right has paid off. Now we can go for a whole summer holiday, maybe even going around the world lecturing, coming back in 6 months, the system's still running. Because when we put the cameras there, we have a physical failure. Physical failure is part of the process. We had a physical failure while we were away in past 10 days. John noticed this as he stood there. He says, you can't see the problem in the center core. And I look, I can't see anything. The motor is running. He says, look, the top has gone, the valve on the top has, what do you call it, opened up or leaked. It's not rotating. When we looked at it, it made sense. So John's decision was to put a silicon on it. And we tested it. There was a leakage. There was a gas leakage, and then he put the silicon, and we tested it. Now it's sealed. But the beauty of it is that with losing the vacuum, the center core did not lose its plasma, because the minute we added 1 hydrogen and 1 helium, 2 heliums and 1 hydrogen, we immediately saw this was in the inner core of the original center core reactor, which sits in the middle. By adding 1 measure, which is 4 centimeter by 4 millimeter tube inside of gas, we saw the increase on the motor of the outer core by about 50% or so. It went from 40 to 70 or something, 60, 70. So it showed the plasma was already there, and we saw the immediate effect of it. So this has proven again that by losing the vacuum, once you manage to create the plasma, due to the property of the nanomaterials which hold the plasma to the center, is not a worry again. I would love to break John's reactor. When I saw this, the intentions became stronger, because in John's reactor there is a center pin which we literally leach the plasma to it. Yeah, now for the first time we see in John's reactor, because his reactor was stealing fields up to now. Now he's happy that it's higher. So he was happy yesterday or the day before that the fields has gone up. So it's storing back, but you got to understand that in his reactor there is no nano coating. There is only one, what do you call it? As I call it, dog leash. In the middle, we put a pin with a nano-coated material, which the plasma is holding on to. So we have glued it to the, more or less the plasma gets glued to this electrode in the center. And we have shown it now in this by the leakage or loss of the vacuum in the inner core of the mother core. We do not need, once you establish the plasma and you can hold it for long enough that it establishes its own strength, you don't need the container. So in reality, this is exactly how stars work. The container, we don't see any solid container on top of the star from on the stars. It's a plasma, even the top is plasma too. It'll be very, very interesting to repeat the structure of the sun on the main reactor. I've done this remotely before, but I'm sure very soon we can replicate magnetic field surges on the surface of the center core the way we have. Is the Keshe Foundation down? We have a, yes, there is something I will explain what has happened with our foundation server yesterday. Since we come from Vatican, there is a heavy attack from inside Italy on the server. We took the server out to unknown destination for 4 or 5 days. The attack was increased and we brought it back home. It seems to be the most probably webmasters have switched it off for a time being till the attack goes down. The whole structure now we can, as I was saying, we can repeat the, is it back on? Oh, it's on homepage, yeah, it's okay, yeah. No, but it's okay. The health section will be fully developed now that we have opened the Keshe Foundation Health Center and we received authorization from authorities, signed and sealed, that we can go ahead with it. The plasma on the top, as I was saying, with the center reactor, we can repeat a lot of theories in the world of physics and nuclear and atomic structure. The interesting is that how easily we can bring people and see how things are done. With Eli, we have one of the members of the Bulgarian original supporters of the Keshe Foundation. He's been with us, start developing different aspects or looking into different aspects of the technology in Bulgaria. And so as he was with us and he understands the technology in Bulgarian, but not in English, but he understands English good enough, he was invited to join the panel of the control and running off or filling in of the systems. Because they are familiar, they know how to get in. It's just like a duck to the water and they just can swim. John had to go away yesterday to give his workshop. So as the 4 person on the table, we need to run or load up the reactors I was setting up. He took over as part of it. and in a way it gives a feeling, and they understand that how the things are. As I said a long time ago, we open the door so whoever comes here, they are welcome to the lab to see things. And the example of it was this yesterday. I gave the microphone to Elia for him to speak, but he's a bit too shy to speak in English. But this is how it's going to be. The door of knowledge is open, especially to people who understand and they've been part of the foundation, what we call the silent supporters. He's here instead of hanging around just because he's here. While he's here, he's in the lab, he works, he learns, and he passes the message and what he learns back to the Bulgarian Keshe Foundation. There is a setup getting organized that from 26th of July for a week or two, I and most probably the whole package, I moved to Bulgaria to work directly with the space scientists and the engineers and scientists, which we met in our lectures last year. So now I moved to, while it's the holiday time for the knowledge seekers, I moved to Bulgaria for quite a few days that we work literally day and night in developing the Bulgarian reactors, because they have a very strong space program which is connected to the Russian Space Agency. We have a good connection with these people. We understand their work. We met them, and this allows us to work directly in development with different national organizations. The process of organizing this started yesterday in Bulgaria. Elia is shaking her head like an Indian woman. Yes, yes, no problem. So we are going to the next step of cooperation and collaboration with scientists at this level. We hope to be able to do this, and we already have started this here in Italy. The direct research has been taken over past a month or so, 2 months, by the governmental institutes. The report is to be released soon, and at the same time we are looking at different part of the application, how we can adjust the technology for development in conjunction with this organization, governmental organization.
Mr. Keshe, there was a question regarding, in the health side, regarding the diabetes paper that was mentioned a couple of workshops ago.
Which
and whether the diabetes paper, whether there's
I have to finish this paper.
Okay.
What happened? The lady concerned is this is one of the problems with the health side. With the health side, you have to pin people down. This lady, as I explained, I have to literally chase her for information. And so we know in 6 weeks or so, she has reduced her use of insulin by about 50%. And as I hear through other contacts which are in touch with her, the changes are very drastic. She's still experiencing new changes. But one of the reasons we went for this case was not so much diabetic. We know diabetics we can change from our first case about 7 years ago, which was monitored by doctors in the hospital, and the lady went to no insulin. Diabetic 2 has a full solution. We have a case which I put on hold in Northern England with a gentleman who's got a full history of diabetic. But that system has to be made once we know more about this development. The reason we took this diabetic condition is because diabetic has damaged the kidneys, and this runs in the family. So the lady needs a kidney transplant, and what we are heading for is to stop the need for the kidney transplant. We didn't take up this diabetic case just to do a diabetic. And we took it up to see if we have enough time, because the father has had the same process, the brother has the same problem. All the aunts and uncles on the father's side have this, and they all died of this process of development of the diabetic and then kidney failure. And at the moment, not much. I'm very interested, because we knew when we took it up, but it was really to see if we can change the process. That there is no need, we can allow the kidney take the pressure from what is caused the problem, off, that we can allow the lady to be able not to have the kidney transplant and the death which has happened in the family. We'll tell you more as we get reports from this lady. A very interesting point as part of the health. We were asked a question about the cancer by a member of the audience in the conference on Sunday or Saturday. That can we help with the grandmother who has a cancer and is been through chemotherapy. I can give you this data because it's here, it's available, and we have received a confirmation from hospital in Germany, from the doctors. As we said before, we are spreading the knowledge of the health application around the world, that it cannot be put in the hand of one nation. Part of this program, as you know, around October of last year, we were approached by a gentleman who is a doctor, and the father is a dentist and a doctor, that the father had a brain tumor, and they took the brain tumor out, and they told the family that the maximum life expectancy was between 12 to 18 months, and this is normal with this kind of cancer. So I met the son, apparently, I cannot remember, but he's an extremely nice guy. He attended one of my presentations in Germany 2 or 3 years ago, and he asked if we can help or can we at least consider, because there is no choice, what is option on the table, that the life expectancy has been given by doctors due to the cancer, the tumor which has been removed from the brain. They were going through 12 months of chemotherapy, and even with the chemotherapy, that was a life expectancy. I accepted the case due to new understanding and my strong belief that chemotherapy is the best solution for cancer. But the side effect of chemotherapy, which are causing the problem. So I set out to understand how we can use the chemo and change the condition to the benefit of mankind. So this has been on our table for 2 or 3 years with different cancer developments. And the conclusion for me was I could understand more and more development of the lymph and how the cancer chemotherapy comes to be the cause of the death more than the helping. So we built a system in October to reduce or eliminate the side effects, or at least give the body of the man a chance to produce its own immune system to protect and overcome the cancer or the side effect of the chemotherapy. We literally, from the day we started, the doctors in Germany, they monitored the gentleman on a weekly basis. And then the center, which is for the chemotherapy in Germany, who did all the development assessment of this cancer, they put the condition of they look at the total and somewhere down the line in June to see if there is any progress or backwardness of this cancer. This test was done last week in Germany by the independent scientists in the Cancer Research Center, and they've done the MRI and the blood test. There is no sign of cancer in MRI. I have a copy of it, and there is no sign of cancer in the blood test. The blood test is as good as mine. If anybody looks at it, you can't say the gentleman has a cancer. So it's been cleared, and now we know. And I showed the data to Yvonne yesterday, the day before. When we came back from Tuscany, I received the data. This shows that chemotherapy can be changed in the benefit of man by reducing its side effects. So we're going to monitor this case for another 6-12 months and see if we can hold the position. All the negative or positive data, plus or minuses on blood tests, does not exist. It's all perfectly in a good order. Some on the lower side, but still in acceptable, band which has been done. So this shows we have, as we said, not only found the solution for cancer, now we can eliminate or at least reduce the side effects of chemotherapy. Coming from the nuclear background, one has to understand there is not much difference between radiation therapy and chemotherapy, because you look at one wave and one material which is given to your body. At the end of the day, is delivery of the large dosage of plasma, of gravitational magnetic field of certain strength. And the problem with the chemo is this thing runs, this powerful gravitational magnetic plasma runs through the whole body, so it delivers the energy to everywhere, not only to the cancer. So if you can reduce the energy in 2 points in the body, then the material stays the same and the immune system of the body works normally. We have found how this can be done and now be proven to be 100% correct. We will publish the data or release it to the medical scientific world, because we need now to open a second case or a third case for large scale development and understanding that we are correct. So this is what is happening in the background. The other point, which is to do with the decontamination, the data regarding cleaning up the atmosphere, the earth and the liquids is still carrying on. We expect some data today, by this afternoon, from another research by another organization, which has shown that what do you call it, water contamination can be reduced heavily. As I said to you last week, there are tests done in Fukushima by the appointed companies by Japanese, and they did a tritium test last week. There is a cesium test to be done, but there is apparently something which a lot of people outside the nuclear industry are not aware of. There is another kind of contamination which is much more serious. The Japanese have asked for this to be tested by the Keshe Foundation here. So we received the material second half of July, and this is a new contamination, high-level contamination, which the Japanese want the foundation to look into to see if we can find answer for this part. So the material is only known, this is known in proliferation industry. This proves again that my concern, and in the Fukushima paper, that there has been plutonium in the core of the reactor 1, emphasized again, because this material at this level is only known to military level. So as we said, we stay open, we don't hide anything. So by receiving this material, which has been authorized to be moved to the foundation, hopefully if we receive it and there is no blockage, second half of July, we start looking at this process. This is very, very fundamental, extremely important, because this explains why we see such a position in Fukushima as is going on. But there is enough knowledge in the foundation to be able to correct this condition. A lot of people will ask, what's the position in respect to this Fukushima. The cesium is gamma radiation. You create a GANs or systems which are magnetic gravitational field based. So gamma being a radiation gets absorbed. So your materials or GANs materials, as Mitsui has copied our system, shows is the best shield for gamma rays, which is the most dangerous one. Now what you have, the alpha and beta, these are more matter energetic system. Then you have to find an intermediary for this process, and in the process of producing GANs we have that intermediary. This new material is being requested and is getting sent to be tested. That what you do, you convert from one to another, or you convert the whole radioactive strength of whatever alpha and beta is into a radiation level that the GANs material can neutralize or absorb or bring into itself. So this material I've developed and soon will be tested again. So one step through the gas process is that all gamma rays can be reduced, and at the same time what we've seen in the research reports which have been reported to is that any gamma ray which is in the material, using some of the new development, converts it back to a lower state of alpha and beta. So you see a rise in alpha beta where you had no what do you call it, no level before. Or sometimes you see an increase in your alpha and beta because you bring it a step down. This is very much for those who are working in this industry, because I know the nuclear scientists in Japan and China are closely following this development and listen to this program. That's how they approached us for the testing of these new materials, is that you have to find a worm which is food is alpha and beta. And we have found that worm. So we let it eat, and in the eating process, it converts it to a gamma, and the gamma you change it back into a neutral state. It is not doing it, it's just pressurizing it. It's a process of understanding how to do it. This is very much when I looked at that gentleman in Tuscany, who has found a system to do to detect radiation from alpha radiation. He actually uses the alpha radiation, and in the process of changing it to gamma ray, he can tell the difference and when the process is going to happen. So this is on the same kind of lines which we started a few weeks ago. And when I saw the guy talking about it in Tuscany, he was talking my language, and he was talking exactly what we do, but in reverse, and in the same process, directly the same process. What it does, he gets alpha radiation of the material through a specific process, converts it to gamma, and with gamma, with he can detect the strength and when the whole process of earthquake will happen. But we've done this what we call in the warm condition. So the worms eats the radiation, and in the process of changing it to gamma, allows us to be able to neutralize the radiation. This is the whole process of the change of the what do you call it, reduction in radiation. I don't see anything else I can tell you unless you got some questions to ask. We got to finish within next half an hour, as we have guests from India coming to see us. They called us, they're on the way. And then we'll see what happens to the next step.
Great. I was going to ask you about that, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for telling us that.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question with regards to radiation. I have a question with regard to radiation on human body. Can nanomaterial of some kind be used on human body, on humans?
Human body, yeah.
Can the nanomaterial, yes, can the GANs material be used to neutralize the radiation on people?
Your skin has that. Part of the skin structure of the man has that property. That's what it's there for. Yeah, okay. I'm going to give you the doctor. She explains.
Okay, so I want to just tell you what is the understanding of Mr. Keshe about the skin. So about related with his theory, the skin is layering and nano-coated in 3 layers. So the upper one, which is so close to the environment, this is the material part. In the middle is this transitional part, and after that this is the nano-coated part. So actually you have protected from the environment with nano-coated layers itself. This is the skin. Do you understand, or you need some more explanation?
Okay, I understand that, but in the case, for example, you get radiated by let's say, people in Fukushima as an example. They have got some, let's say somebody got irradiated by radiation material. Can they use nanomaterial as a treatment to, let's say, neutralize?
You mean if they are able to drink? That you mean?
Well,
if they
in
are
any
able
way,
to
either
use
drink
for
or
internal
put it on the
use?
skin. In either way,
Okay.
either way.
Yeah.
Okay, you ask a question which we got to open another chapter on the medical side. In a way, yes. You can even, by accident, if you swallow radioactive materials or breathe it in, you can use the health side, even as a GANS, to reduce the damage or cancel the damage, or allow the material to be absorbed. This is done frequently as protection system, but I'll try to explain this in more detail. Part of this is as part of the research which is going on with ILS. We have had good result in slowing or blocking the development of ILS, but on the other hand, 3, 4, 5 years ago, we had a very good development in physically getting people with ILS and MS to move and get the use of their body, physical body back. But we could not stop the process of the development and the final death. Now we've gone the other way. We can stop the process through the psychological and the brain structure itself. But this new process, that's as you've seen on the videos on the internet, was opposite to what we needed for the development and improvement of the physical improvement. So we got to a point with the new system that if you would use one, we'll stop or start the other one off or reverse the other one. For past year or so, this has been a dilemma, how we're going to do to sort out that we bring everything back together again, that we can see the physical and psychological improvement. To this effect, about very recently, we were asked by a family to look into the case of ILS, which is the final stage, which is just prior to death, when the body physically, as is in the cannot reverse it, but this allowed us to look at into development that if we can change the physicality through very much material state which we put on shelves for years ago, back into the game of the ILS, and within 10 days we have seen the positive results, which means that we have managed to kick in the physical motion, physical movement and the structure of the body internally by using very much this process of not so much GANs, but understanding to produce the plasma in using food chain. And when I was coming back from Tuscany, I had the wife on the line, that this gentleman, as you know, they lose the use or control of their mouth. The saliva literally drips by the side of the face. And because the muscles around the, what do you call it, the throat and the neck, it stops moving and functioning properly. And she said, this week, past few days, I don't need to use the sucking machine to take much saliva out of the mouth, because the body has to start working and he's swallowing it down, even though he has a pipe in his stomach. So this gave us an indication we can reach through this process of what you call a GANS or material directly into the physical movement. And this has kicked in the use of a new system for other ILS volunteers, that we can see they can bring physical plus the psychological movement and improvement. So we report to you this. You can use the GANs in a different way if you understand that the food which the human race uses is more or less in a GANs state, but you got to understand how and where to use it the way it is being done. So you can use a gas state material for a specific condition as far as we can tell up to now. And then as it changes, we report to you more. But there is a possibility you can use the GANs more or less like even tablets, where now they give you radiation dosage in a tablet and you digest it and it gets washed out of your body or in your blood. You can use now a safe system like a GANs that there is no radiation damage. This is some discussions that got to be done in the future. So yes, you can use the GANs if you can stop the capsule to be opened up in your body and going through your digestion system, that it absorbs or changes the environment in your body that reduces the GANs. This process we started with a stomach and intestine cancer about 3 weeks ago with a lady from Russia. She's a Russian lady with a cancer on the top of the intestine and at the bottom and all the way through. So now she's going through, we've been given 6 weeks collaboration with the doctors to see if we can reduce the condition of the cancer. Otherwise they still go ahead with the operation and then we go back in the condition of chemotherapy retrieval. But we wait and see till the doctors in Russia confirm to us if they've seen changes in the, because they put a camera through the nose and through the anus and they're just monitoring if the changes are there. If it is positive changes, we carry on, or if not, we still go what we agreed with the chemo, what do you call it, cutting out the cancer parts, and then we go with chemotherapy. All been agreed prior, and this is done to again through with the Russian lady. As I said, and I keep on saying, people who go to Belgium court trying to say doing illegal health activities, we have a certificate that we can do so, and at the same time world authorities are realizing there is a channel for this and people around the world are using it. At the same time, as all of you, over 150 million people have downloaded the key, you are already criminals because you have the patent of the medical application and you become part of it. So the European Court of Justice, they call it the Belgian Court for Medical Application, is going to take 150 million people to court because you're all got involved without knowing in illegal activities of medical because you downloaded it. So we see how it is, and we start now getting the opportunity and the position to open the center in Malta. We start teaching openly, and then that's for the authorities to accept. It's been accepted by Belgium, what do you call, Naturopathica, on 2011 as an alternative. We have the certificate for it, and now it's been accepted by insurance companies and the authorities in the government. So even those who tell us we do illegal health, the country that claims it is the country which is giving us the authority to do so with a license, with a permission. So now we teach it freely because this knowledge has to be shared very rapidly. But as I discussed it with Elia in the past few days, we cannot teach the medical side to everyone because, as the Indians say, Neem Hakim Khatar Jam, which is half doctor is dangerous. It's because it does knows only half of the problem. So Elia, I've asked her if she can organize the teaching of the doctors around the world in one way or another, like we do these sessions, but we only do it for the medical people, that they understand they can add to their knowledge. And we have a large number of doctors around the world who have been asking us if we can teach. Now we open slowly the door of the teaching on the medical side, but it has to be understood that we just can't go into one medicine just because it's there. We have to bring, the same as we brought the religions together, we brought the politicians together. Now we have to bring all sectors of the health together, homeopathy, the traditional medical medicine, the pharmaceutical, and we take the best for the human race. No one can say, I found the solution, it's only me. The knowledge we have, as I said, even with the development of the reversal of the chemotherapy, is because they've done such a good job, pharmaceutical, they don't see the problem, they couldn't see the problem. We add a knowledge to it now collectively to one does the other one. So in the future, hopefully when you go and have a chemotherapy, then you have a Keshe Foundation system technology to stop the side effects, unless or till they find a process that they can do it without chemo or radiation. So this is the next step that, as I asked earlier, to bring all the sides of the medicine together, because she has that insight into, as a doctor, as a natural medical doctor, and with the studies in different aspects of the holistic medicine, she has that knowledge that she can transfer and speak the language of both sides. So you will understand very soon that we will start teaching of the medical side directly to the medical people, and it'll be very much like lectures like this, but we go into depth and we teach them how to make the systems that they can help their what do you call it, their patients. So now the next step, once we manage to bring the world religions together, it'll be teaching the world's medical world in how to help and assist humanity. It cannot be done by one person, so that's what is in the pipeline. Next question.
My next question is more related. Oh, sorry.
This Lucian, I have a very short question for you, because it looks like we are going a safety issue. So maybe you can make some
This is one of the tricky questions. Every time Lucian asks, you go.
No, it's a very probably unpleasant question. So basically,
that's good
I
for
did some. No, because we want to be here for some time. So I did some nano coating of copper wires, and as you suggested, it was there are closed in a plastic container. Incidentally, it was a bottle of water near it, and I was really shocked because on the top of the bottle water is like 1 millimeter thick layer, which is having a lower density. I'm guessing that could be some GaNs, something like that. And on the bottom of the bottle is something like you are obtaining into your systems, in the tanks. I can take some pictures, some grayish things, and it looks like just the close vicinity or proximity of the container that is containing the copper oxide coated copper wires is creating some sort of very strong reactions into the regular water. So my question for you will be, how to say, using like what is called the Faraday cage, or putting in like a steel container to shield the magnetic field.
Luciana, let me explain. We are looking into this already for about a few weeks. There is a process we are looking into with manufacturers and the scientists. I've had about 10 meetings with them in the recent past 2 months. We understand that part of process of the cleaning is not using the material directly in the water. We are actually in design composition regarding the manufacturing of a system in that respect, that you what do you call it, like when you put material through a microwave oven to irradiate them, like they put with tomatoes, that they don't get damaged. We are looking into this very seriously in a very commercial way, because it's not the for understanding of the Keshe Foundation. This is part of the work done by I think a Swiss scientist and the scientists here in Italy and the manufacturers. I explained this to Marco 2 or 3 weeks ago when he was making the PowerPoint for the lecture in Tuscany. It's literally like a tabletop where the fluid flows over and the water gets decontaminated. We need this process especially for places like rivers in China, and conversion of safety of the air pollution. This is what I spoke to James regarding.
Excuse me to interrupt you. We are speaking about the personal safety, not not
This is
about
it's the same
assistance
thing.
or
It's the
selling
same
or
thing. It's
commercial.
the same thing.
So in other words,
No, no, no.
just
It's
a
the
second, please.
same
We
thing.
are keeping it in our houses. So if this magnetic or gravitational magnetic radiation flows
Yeah,
into the
you are
house, into the
talking.
garage,
You're
it's
talking
not
about
okay.
the miniature scale. You're talking about the miniature scale of the same thing. We look when you say you've seen the change, we already know this change, and in a
Yes, but
serious
what is
bigger
the
way. Pardon?
In other words, if we keep this in our house or in our garage, it could be a health hazard.
No,
If
not really.
there's
No. In a way, as long as you don't come in touch with it, that's why I said keep these things away till we analyze and we can tell you. That's why I keep on telling you wear a glove and everything else. Because now we're looking seriously because we have seen data. I showed this data in a conference. Yeah, it's if you can get the go through the video of the first talk on Saturday. Marco, the reason I explained to Marco about this was because I gave him the sheet of the lab. This is not done by us, it's done by the people who are helping and working with us to develop the systems. Is that just by passing by it, you can do a lot of things, and when you mix it, you get totally different results on different things. So the data, if you look at the presentation of Saturday, it changes phosphor content by 66%. If you look at the nitrogen content, it's dropped by, I think it's about from 4 point something to 0.07. COD has been, it drops by quite drastic amount. And this is just by contact. What you're talking about, we are looking and doing it in a huge commercial way. That's why I keep on telling you, the health aspects, the safety aspects is the most important thing. You keep it in your kitchen, or you touch it, or you play with it, or whatever. Just stay safe till everything is analyzed. There are a number of research organizations who are working with us in different directions. You can do the same thing. If you say you see the change of the color, now put contaminated water in Fukushima through the same plate. Now you see the change. We don't discuss what we are doing with the authorities and governments.
Yeah, but my point is,
it's no danger. As far as we can see, as far as we can see, and as far as chemical analysis, Raman spectroscopy, and all the spectroscopies available to the scientists and organization we work with, nothing reaches in a way to change human structure. Nothing at this moment, but at the same time the data is very thin. Let us do our work. There is a lot of, you got to realize that, for example, part of one test which you see on this data has cost the company €2,500 for one test. It's taken 5 days. These people are investing a lot of money in understanding it for the use, and they understand our agreement with us, with them, when we enter this kind of venture, was that the data belongs to the nation of Italy. The data belongs to worldwide, and they have no hesitation with it because they understand they can only serve a few customers. And they understand once it's done, and the way they did, and we published their data straight away within a week we received it, is that this is how people have become fearless and so, positive in sharing knowledge, because they realize they can only, the guy says, I only can serve 10 customers. There's more problem right across Italy, so let other people, other Italians help Italy. And they release data to us. And we release it the minute we have it and we see appropriate to release. So we understand more and more. There is a data report coming out by the institutes in Italy. There's a data coming out by other institutes around the world which are turning and testing the materials and their position. Just we don't talk, but if like you bring that point, you see the change in the water. Yes, we already know about it. We knew about it for a long time. This can have a lot of benefits, but at the same time, let us learn.
So should I understand that if I will get some steel containers to put all these plastic containers, should be safe for myself, probably for others who are hearing
I
this?
don't think there is no danger. As far as we can see, there is no danger. Because don't forget that the rules of plasma, it takes as much as it needs and it doesn't take any more and doesn't give if you don't need to take it. In so many ways, if you use it in a correct way, whatever body needs to adjust to short of, it will receive from it. This is the beauty of this thing. But what does it mean? Does your body need because it takes it? As far as we can see and what we see from the data over past 4 or 5 years by different establishments, we do not see, we haven't seen any negative up to now, or if it is, we can't see it at the moment with the use of GANs. It releases a lot of energy because it's a plasma, it's a direct, same as your body. But now we see it physically in change of material. Look at the reports, which was the, what do you call it? The data from the lab which we released in Tuscany. You can see the changes. These changes have taken less than 1 millisecond. It hasn't been that we had to sit for hours and hours with. So now the processes that we are building in conjunction with the company who came up with the idea, we're just providing the knowledge and the background structure, and we already have spoken to the manufacturing arm of the Keshe Foundation because we have facility here to manufacture, to produce the first, not prototypes, but the first commercial units. This has the data you look at on the lecture in Tuscany. This is coming from the production of, this is what happens now when you produce like mozzarella cheese. After you produce the cheese, there's a wastewater, and it costs the companies with 50,000 liters per day, something like 7,000 to 10,000 euro just to trying to clean the water enough that it can be thrown over the land, and the residual to be decontaminated or sold somewhere else. With this process, that cost comes to literally zero. And to be able to reduce the levels that it can be thrown over the land and be given to other companies to siphon needs an investment of about $750,000 by the company. So in a very simple way, you get rid of a 7,000 to 10,000 euro cost for a small factory. Secondly, you don't need a $750,000 investment for decontamination or reducing. The commercial benefits of it is huge. Secondly, the residual has a lot of other application and benefit, because what we see now in the test in the laboratory, you can literally rewash the material and reuse it continuously in your production. The application of it, the phosphorus reduction and the nitrogen reduction, has implication in land cleaning, contaminated lands. So we have received and we are receiving ever collaboration by the companies in Italy and around the world in respect to, now that we have moved out of the shackles of the Belgian government. This should have been available to mankind for the past 10 years in different stages. But the process is set the same way. We see it. You don't need to irradiate most probably the tomatoes and whatever fruit comes in that we pass on the contamination or radiation to people. Now you can produce these systems that neutralizes the bacteria, not necessarily damages the fruit or kills the fruit or whatever. It brings balance. There is a huge application now with these 2-3 organizations we are working, and 2 more has joined us yesterday when I was talking to our people in expanding. One of the major corporations, governmental organizations, has heard we are working with one of their divisions in another part of the country. They've asked, now we want to work with them directly. We don't need to go, because the scientists know what it is, and they're only about 30-40 kilometers away from us. There are companies in Austria and in Switzerland who've been here. The process is that people have start understanding. and application and implication. But when you say, is it safe putting in a steel metal? We don't have that much depth knowledge. It has to come from scientific world. They are providing the data and we immediately release it. No one in his mind could imagine. They pay nearly cost about 15,000 euro, we know, in past 2 weeks in laboratory costs to analyze these data, and immediately is on the table, which is a commercial, huge commercial value. If it was 6 months ago, another company, they could have been, we patent it, we license it, we make money out of it. The Italians got the same end of the stick as we have. We found out we can't do all of it, so we give it to you because you brought the knowledge that you can share it. The process has started. It takes time, but those who understand the data on this sheet which we released, and there are more data, we have 5 or 6 of them. We saw such a radical change at the beginning. It's like 95% reduction. This reduces the shipment of all the contaminated materials from one country to another to get rid of. The applications are huge. BTW, the senior, Italy. We are working on this. Somebody has put, what about the decontamination, the sea near Italy? No problem. We are already working on this for nearly a year. We've met, we have been to the sites allocated to us by the Italian authorities. We've seen the contaminated land, and this is part of the process. Italian authorities are proud that we are here. And we are taken to the land contaminated and places, be it all sorts of contamination. I've been there, we are looking at it, and this process is part of the release of this data is part of the same. But collaboration comes out of proof of technology, and the technology through the Italian science has been proven, so they're opening doors for us. And it's the same, I said this in a backwards way to James, that we have all the processes for decontamination, cleaning up the air in China. Because of these research now, we announced today now. There's a lot of work going on. The governments are seeing the benefit of the technology at a very low cost, but very effectiveness of it. The seas around, you have rivers in Italy which have contamination. We have looked into it. There are landfills which are contaminated. We look at it. I think tomorrow we start, is it tomorrow or sometime next week, we start the land decontamination in the laboratory, which is come from a very dangerous landfill zone in Italy. Is going to be tested. All the materials I delivered last week. So in Italy, as I said in the in the conference in Tuscany, now that we are based in Italy, we serve the nation of Italy well. Next question.
That's fantastic news, Mr. Keshe. It seems like things are opening up very quickly now, that things have moved along since you first arrived. So it's fantastic to hear that.
It has moved around. They moved around. You got to realize how it's moved around. First of all, by coming here, as you know, the Italian authorities hide us from the hand of the Belgians. They literally protected us. So knowing we are here, they could have done, but they protected us. They gave us a good free time to be able to move. And meanwhile, with opening the institute and the knowledge seekers releasing the information so rapidly, they has brought a lot of changes. It has brought huge amount of changes. And now at the same time, the scientists in Italy are collaborating with us unconditionally, even the commercial side, as we are doing with them. I was in Rome and I explained the bottom line was a lot of people haven't realized the use of even these nano coatings you have. The guy was proud that he has got a factory which produces Teflon pans. And I said, you know, your Teflon, when you scratch it, is finished. And I had a piece of wire of nano coating in my pocket because I've tested this. If you know how to use nanomaterials in a specific way, when you can manufacture pans that you can scratch it and put it in the drawer, and next morning it's totally healed itself. You understood the process, the layering coming from the bottom. So now commercialize this, because this is what I told the Italians. You are famous for making pans. Now you have a everlasting pan. You never scratch it, and you can cook in it safe way, but in the process to be put in the last. This is something I have not taught yet. You can Elia laughs. You can seal nanomaterial layers that you can cook, you can eat, and you drink with it. But this is the process that when you do it, you do not need food to digest. This is the ultimate, but you have to understand how to do it, that you don't receive mono-energetic system energy. The reason we eat a spectrum of food, a different food, is to receive a spectrum of different plasmas. If you understood why nano layers are dark and black, and you can do something in the correct way, you do not need to eat. Nano-coated cups will give you everything you need because they bring the balance energy which is in there in the water. This is what we call the water of life. I referred to it a few times.
But you have to seal it first.
Yes, the sealing process comes when the governments agree in a peaceful way that food is not used as a ransom and seeds are not kept to be deliberately away. When you nano-coat cups, or allowed the way we all have learned together how to nano-coat, just go back, understand the technology in its absolute correct way. A nano layers absorbs a spectrum of the energies. That's why it's black. You can create a condition that it leaves and releases what you need from it according to what you put in it. I just explained using the same understanding and technology in reversal of intestinal cancer. And we've seen the reversal of the movement of the muscles of the throat with ILS. We open the door as much as you can understand, otherwise it looks like magic. You do not need to slaughter a cow to receive protein. You've seen it in the cups in the lab with the fat on the top. Now, if you can make a cup and you can seal it the correct way, then the spectrum of the energetic magnetic field, plasmatic magnetic field in the cup will transfer its energy accordingly to the molecules of water, because don't forget that even the water, the air even looks like air, and water looks like water. It comes from different spectrum of fields. We're all 7 billion of us on this planet. None of two of us are exactly the same. It's the same with the air we breathe. Just because it's oxygen, so you can use this effectively in feeding the man. You put a cup, everybody puts the water in, and they take from the cup what the body needs. The body takes what it needs. You don't need these elaborate systems of feeding and the rest. But at the same time, we did this about 8 years ago in Belgium. Because habitually we need to chew, then we go back to eating. So in so many ways, what His Excellency President Putin has said in the past few days, that they're going to end up with the seeds, control of the seeds. Now we end up with the control of food. If you know how to use different cups, even different coating, you absorb different energetic levels. But what you need, you don't need to eat. We've done this test. Now we tell you more. As we open the books now, we can talk. We can tell you exactly what it is. But you have to understand how to seal a nano air.
So, Mr. Keshe, the nano-coat, the nano-coat material will not come in touch with let's say, the material in the cup itself.
It can come in touch with it, but you have to understand what you're releasing in the cup. The knowledge is deeper than just go tomorrow morning making a coated cup and start drinking from it. It's literally. Yes, but you got to further. I was told, I keep on telling you, you don't understand. Just this is my phrase. It doesn't hurt nobody. But
That's okay.
you got to realize that you, exactly as we said with Ivan's reactor, we created the plasma, we held it for 3 or 4 weeks. Now we are releasing it as a matter. Go back to the same principle in a cup. You do not need to go in elaborate conditions. We test reactors for medical because we need to, because we have to. As I said with the ILS, that the gentleman can swallow more and the muscles come to operation. I developed the protein aspects through the plasma. We produce what we call neuron plasma, neuron amino acid. You can do the same thing in a cup. You put your soup in. Your soup is what you need for your body. You can put your what do you call it, water in, and that water becomes your food. But let the scientists do the full data analysis the next year or two. No one in the world needs to die of hunger. You don't need. This is when I told you originally. You have two mobile phone. I give you everything you need to survive. Because when you drink a balanced energy cup, water, nothing in the body goes unbalanced. Even if it's unbalanced, it goes back to balanced conditions. So the cancer become a history. The process is very open. The world of science is changed because we understand the process of creation. But let the scientists do the damn thing. One of the reasons which we had a lot of misunderstanding is people just going and putting their fingers in the GANS material and saying, "Oh, I didn't get energy, so you're wrong." This is a stupid thing how some people did here in this institute. And they don't understand the energy which is delivered is so vast that they can cause dangers. And I kept on telling you, keep away from these things till we tell you. But as there are more and more scientists around the world opening their eyes into the application and implication, now we open what we call the cup of life. If you can make a composite material like a zinc, copper, lead, iron, whatever, and you can get it all coated, and you drink from it, you receive the plasma of all the minerals and metals and everything your body needs. And if there is too much of it, when you digest it, as we say, goodbye to cancer, because your body does the processing of balancing. Life expectation through this process will reach to 700 to 800 years, 1,000 years. Even regenerating, what we call the youth regeneration, that you become younger. You don't become younger, but the body works on the balance the body needs, then it doesn't destroy itself. The death code will exist because otherwise it will become all rotten old things. The cell death code will not change. But in fact, what happens is that now you receive a balanced process of food and medicine directly to your own drink. And this is how people in Africa, as we said, no child will go hungry, because we know what we are talking about. But if you do it in one go, you create mayhem. Now maybe people, because we know we have a huge listeners in African subcontinent and Indian subcontinent, let us do the job. All we send you, we don't send you a reactor, we send you a cup, and that's cup of life. Because as you created the plasma in layers, you understood. Now you understand those plasmas can release the property or energy to the water. When you drink it, it's the same. You can do the same with inhalation. Pass the air pipe through the system. So the lung receives the right plasma for the brain to work. And then the question goes, where does the physicality of the man goes to? Just 1 second, please.
So this is what the Holy Grail would be as well, then.
I believe so.
Yeah. And so then also this was before the really bad stuff happened on Earth.
Yeah.
the reason I left because I received a text and I was waiting for something else, but this text has come by another direction, but it's part of the same process. I just read it to you. What we talked about the water. This is Dr. Keshe. Today I should receive new wastewater. As soon as possible, I'll deliver new analytical results. So you see, that's how the scientists work. And this is just because we happen to talk about it. These are the people, these are manufacturers, these are major industrial people in Italy who have opened their doors freely for the people because they follow what we do. And this is what you say about contamination I just received. At 10:47. So we got to change and understand the process of the change. And what it can do, and what it brings, and what it does. And this is back again. Yesterday, I explained, because we started new star formation, I said to, when they start loading it, I said, have you prayed for your system? Even the cup you put in front of you to drink, you pray for it because that gives you life. Because it gives part of its energy to you. This is the whole process of creation. And more scientists and companies realize globalization means sharing it the correct way, and we have no problem with it. We were told by our security people very recently, one of the major organizations was to donate funds to the foundation, and they were blocked. Why? The more you block us, the more simpler systems we put out. Now, if anybody dares to go and make a composite material cup and you start drinking it, it's happened to us. Yvonne knows, I think, if you remember, in Ninov. We saw women who were getting their menstruation back at the age of 65, 70. And we told them, you better careful, don't become mamas instead of grandmas. Because we tested the process. Yeah, laugh we had. Some of them will tell you. I've had worried grandmothers sitting in front of me. I said, but this is the truth, because you rejuvenate, the body goes to its balanced position. Life-giving expectation used to be at the age of 20, 25, women used to go to menstruation. And now that the process of energy development through different food and guarantee of survival of life is increased, naturally the woman's, what do you call it, menopause is moving to the further age of 50, 60. We see at the age of 60, 65 people having children. Because the process going the same way. 150.
Mr. Keshe, I have a question along those lines, but in a slightly different manner, which is regarding fasting. And there's some recent fasting, going without food, deliberately fasting for better health and for other purposes, of course. But there is some scientific research that just came up in the last few days, how the scientists now say that fasting can actually cure cancer, for example, and other diseases as well. I was wondering if you have any comments or experience with that as an idea, and maybe you could, if so, maybe you could present it in a way that we could understand about the maggraph fields and the GANs in our body and so on in regards to fasting. Is there anything you can say about that?
First of all, I cannot fast. I've tried it a few times. After 3 days, I start bleeding through my nose and everywhere. So I'm not born to be a religious guy. I failed at the first step. But again, go to understand the process of fasting. You know, the fasting is not just fasting in the time. It's learning the process of adjustment of the body not to eat. A lot of people, you know, I keep on going back to it because it goes by experience. In different religions, people fast for a few hours or a few days or a few part of daylight or whatever. They eat like a pig before it because they know they're not going to eat for hours, or they eat like a pig afterwards. So that's not a fasting. A fasting is if it's done in a normal way and is kept in a balanced condition. There is a fasting called is 10 chews, which recently has become fashionable. You eat whatever you can chew, or 10 spoons of, and that's it. And that's the new fasting way. But you eat like 4 times a day, 10 spoons, whatever you like. Uh, these are radical changes. But you got to understand the process of fasting. What does it do? In not eating, not introducing new materials into your stomach, you create a new condition for the stomach. That's all it is. Fasting is creative condition. You fast for a day, the acidity changes. You fast for half an hour, the acidity changes. The acidity and the enzymes in the stomach don't change in a way or stay the same because you haven't eaten. You walk, you pass a restaurant, you smell, what do you call it, the steak, the body starts producing enzyme because it thinks you're going to eat it. You pass a sweet shop, it's the same. So even you're fasting, the body doesn't stop working. But it's understanding the condition. This is what some of the things I was explaining to Armin at the early stages when he was here about fat people. How you can fool the body by thinking a lot of things coming and it doesn't come. Fasting has to be, if you do, Italians fast. A lot of people, even I've been to Italy 200-300 times in the past 30 years. Till I came here to live, I start understanding the culture and the process of the fasting of the Italians. Italians literally fast every day. They wake up in the morning, they have 1 coffee espresso and a piece of cake, and you go to hell and heaven and put the most delicious things in front of them. Till lunchtime, they don't touch anything. And then they have a pasta or whatever, and then they don't touch anything till nighttime. I had to understand. The first time when we invited them in Belgium or anywhere around the world, we invite people in the afternoon. You call it English tea time. In England, they invite you for afternoon. They give you a cup of tea and a biscuit or a cake. We did that. We thought it's nice. We have new friends. And we got insulted. They sat 6, 7 of them around the table and they walked out. They wouldn't even touch a cup of tea. My wife went crazy. I'm not inviting no more Italians. I spend so much time. And then being here a year, we realized it was our fault, not theirs. We didn't understand the culture. So
Interesting.
Italians fast. Italians fast every day. But it's the process they subjected themselves. There is a reason for it. You have to go back to the culture of the nation. These people did not have food so much readily available as we have. These are the war nations. There were imperial armies in this country. If you don't train people when it's a short time, then when it's a plenty, then you don't force them. So what happens, they taught themselves they can eat 1 meal a day, but they can stand the good time and the bad time. It guaranteed their survival. So it's become their habit. Companies like McDonald's and companies like fast food chains are having a horrible time in Italy. They're just trying to reach the youngsters that they hit them. Adults are not that way. You don't see takeaways here. Maybe a few pizza because and they eat only at night. We don't see, I was explaining this, I think, to Ivan sometime before. In Belgium, when you look at people, you're used to looking at like 240 degrees because they're so fat. We call it obesity. Here, it comes to about 120 degrees and they are so slim. I've never seen the nation, especially where we live. 80% have perfect bodies. Not by fast, not by going on regime, but it's the style the way they live, and they don't eat huge plates, so they learn how to fast, and the body responds to it.
Well, they have
And this
done
fasting,
research with lab rats, and they've given them a low-calorie diet, and it's the low-calorie lab rats that live much longer than the normal or high-calorie lab rats. In other words, they basically starve the lab rats or give them a fasting-type diet, and they live longer. So that was interesting.
yeah, but the point is when you eat normal, you use whatever you need. It's the chain process I explained before. I explained this to Armin. The chain process of getting fat is just that they have realized the common link for making money, and they use that common link, the companies, to do that job. The common link, just look, I explained this before. You look at the sugar, you look at the carbon, CO2 they put in the gases, then they give you a salt, and then you have a protein. You continuously make sack of our water. And that water needs to be maintained, otherwise you get, what do you call it, cancer or dehydrated. So that's what they say, a lot of hunger you can irradiate just with water. If you can irradiate your hunger with water, it means you're obese. Because that water doesn't just fill up the stomach. The brain takes analysis that I have enough to keep the salt floating in the protein as what we call the fat layer in a safe condition. It's just safety measurement. So if you're hungry and you can take a glass of water and the hunger goes, you're obese. Because these Italians don't even accept a glass of water. On the other hand, it goes back to the culture. They don't know where the next food will come from. If you are habitually have a breakfast, have a snack in the middle of the day, and then you do it the same in the lunchtime, what happened today? There is not money to have the snack. So they've trained themselves to ignore these pieces in the middle. But what they eat is substantial. You don't need to diet. You have to understand the structure of the body. And when you diet correctly. This change of habits, you know my opinion about these youngsters now, they become suddenly vegetarian. They cause themselves huge damage, but they're happy that they're vegetarian. They don't eat, they don't kill an animal. They don't understand if they come into my lab, they see the animal, call any fat you like. Just because it doesn't walk, it doesn't mean it's not alive. But it's very interesting. I had a talk with a vegetarian. He says, I've never eaten a single animal. And I had what do you call it, scientific report somewhere. I brought us, says, on average, every man eats something like 15 spiders a year. They're in the food, they're in your, God knows, they go in your mouth when you're asleep. So nobody's 100% vegetarian.
And who knows how much bacteria and other little animals are eating and inhaling and devouring all the time with each
No, but
breath too.
there is no true vegetarian. The more vegetarian you are, the more spiders you eat. According to this report. So,
Well,
Mr. Keshe, I have a question.
yeah.
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Keshe, I have a question with regards to the DNA. The scientists have been looking at this, what they call junk DNA, and I don't think it is junk. What is it, and why is it there, and do we, how can we access that?
I can tell you very directly about junk DNA. The junk DNA is what is written in the junk war. Just because they don't understand it. Every piece in DNA structure has a meaning and a process, but we don't understand it, they call it junk. Even a DNA part is used uh, 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 a gap is needed for the information to be kept in the next chain of the DNA. There is no junk. The people who talk about there's a junk DNA is the junk they don't understand. It's the junk talk. Because in a structure, if it's like you say, I can move without legs, but how can you move without legs? On your stomach? Just because you have a stomach. The leg is junk. It's not. But you need the leg to be able to have a foot at the end of it to be able to walk. Stable. The information is there, but they don't understand it at the moment. And most of what they call junk DNA is one of the connection links between the DNA and RNA. It's the information link. But at the end, it converts, it redevelops itself. The DNA doesn't stay in one place, the protein. It's like every other bit in the human life, it has a what do you call it, time machine on it. So it's continuously refreshed. And these things are done by the gap and the spacing. I wrote a paper there somewhere 2 or 3 years ago about the condition of a spiral features of the DNA, why it is and how it happens to be. It's just because of the gravitational magnetic field of the protein and a phosphor backup, or what they call the spine of it. They create a condition. It's exactly like the nano layers you've built on your layers, on your copper wires. There are gaps between, and those gaps in your copper wire, they sit on each other flat. But in a spinal, what do you call it, the spiral of DNA, the forces of the gravitational magnetic field of the DNA, because it's a protein based, forces that shape due to for its stability, and at the same time in interaction and connection with the RNA forces. RNA is exactly the same structure as a DNA, but in a plasma form. It holds information, not just one information. It holds enough information in it from the day the first man opened his eyes on this planet. You got to find it, then you see it. The way now they say they can find a gene for this defect and that defect. In RNA, in time when the man understands, decipher the plasma conditions, you'll find in each plasma, like copper oxide, and you have a CO2, there is a structure in RNA. And the information stays in that structure. But it's at the moment the same, they don't understand. I explain this fully in one paper. It's called The Life of DNA, somewhere in my papers. You understand the process. So these links between the RNA, or what they call, you don't see any activities, or what they think there's no activities, RNA cannot exist on its own. It's like a soul of the man and the body of the man. You need a interaction, connection, and these links are needed. If they are not there, then there is a separation and it cannot exist, and the information is not transferred. There is, in time, I've explained this in detail in a paper called The Life of DNA or something. I wrote this a few years ago. Next question. We're going to finish in 10 minutes because we're expecting our guests soon.
And why do we have some limited number of codons on and some off? Is it related to the, why are there some codon on? We have like 64 codon, or a limited number of DNA which are active.
Yeah, no, it's not a computer. I understand. Yvonne just explained because I couldn't understand your question. Everything is on according to what is needed. And what is off to you is open to another channel. I understand what you're talking about, but nothing is off. It's not used. It's the same with the information channel from your brain to, let's say, your toe. Just because the toe is not used for 10 years doesn't mean that the body is going to reject it. In the background, there is that no information, so it's still full of information, how to support to keep it there for the days needed. You are disconnected. Is that disconnected?
No, I heard you.
No.
Okay, no, it was just Elia's screen. Okay, can we stop this because we have to get ready for our people coming? Thank you very much for this.
Thank you,
I hope,
Mr.
please, Be careful and don't do things just for the sake of you here. Let the scientists, let the scientific world evaluate everything correctly, that you don't walk from one disaster which man has caused himself for past 6,000 years to a new one.
That's good advice, because lots of people are asking about the nanomaterials and so on, whether they should eat them and such things. So we always tell them,
people did,
do not eat the
institute they did.
nanomaterials.
Yeah. Wish you all the best, and we speak next Thursday.
Thank you, Mr.
very
Keshe.
much.
Thank you, everybody from the Spaceship
Good luck on
Institute.
today. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And that ends the 16th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Thank you, everybody on live stream and on the GoToMeeting and on the Skype. That was a good call. And we'll sign off now.